Be advised, this video may contain spoilers, and I would like to make it clear to my audience that I am not a native English speaker and hence might make mistakes during the course of this video. Hello guys, my name is KingD.C, also known as the King of Anime. I'm kind of new on YouTube, unless you count the videos I've posted in the past, but officially this is my first video. Now, I want to start my journey with a review of one of the best written characters ever created, Shirouemiya. From the Fate series, or to be specific, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Of course, I don't really like the other versions of Fate Stay Night, and in this video all the information will be coming from UBW. Okay, I previously stated that I would be doing a review on Shirouemiya, but that's not specific enough. I'll actually be doing a review of his ideal and how it led him down the path of Archer. So without any further delay, let's start. I am the bone of my sword. Steel is my body and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death nor known to life. Have withstood pain to create many weapons, yet those hands will never hold anything. So as I pray, unlimited blade works. 10 years prior to the events of Unlimited Blade Works, Shirou was just an ordinary kid. He knew nothing of magecraft or heroic spirits. Neither did he expect his life to be changed by a war he knew nothing about. The war in question is the Fourth Holy Grail War. At this time, the protagonist of our story is Shirouemiya. I know what most of you are thinking. Why are we talking about Kijugo? When clearly the whole point of this video is Shirou's ideal. Well, we are getting to that. Shirouemiya is the foster father of Shirou, an ex-mercenary who was hired by the Eisenberg family to be their representative in the Fourth Holy Grail War. One thing I forgot to mention though is the intent he had of joining the Holy Grail War. It was to use the Holy Grail to grant his wish for world peace. When he summoned his heroic spirit, it turned out to be a saber class, or Arthur in this case. After the Holy Grail War had ended due to one of the servants' direct interference with the Holy Grail, catastrophe struck when contents of the Holy Grail began to spill out, causing the Great Fire. Now this is where Shirou comes in. A broken Kijugo who realizes that his efforts have not saved anyone, rummages through the aftermath and discovers a young Shirou. Now, at this point, it's quite easy to imagine the way both of our heroes felt. Salvation was found in each other. Kijugo unfortunately had been cursed by the Grail and was going to die. During this period, Kijugo tells Shirou of his dream, which was to become a hero of justice. But he points out that it gets harder to call yourself a hero as you grow up. At this point, Shirou tells Kijugo that he will take on his father's dream and become a hero of justice himself. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, what I like to call the counterfeit ideal is born. Sometime later, Kijugo passes away and Shirou is left in the care of Taiga Fujimura and her grandfather. Shirou, of course, without a doubt, dedicates his life to helping people, no matter the cost. Okay, now that we're all caught up, at this point I would like to separate descriptions of Archer and Shirou. I'll be referring to Archer as Shirou A and Shirou as, well, Shirou B. Now, my reason for doing this is because most people like to separate the two representations of Shirou. Shirou and Archer, that doesn't sound right to me. I believe to truly understand the character's motivation or ideal, we must think of them as one, which is how I am going to be addressing them from now on. As I referenced before, Taiga Fujimura, who was an English and homeroom teacher of Shirou B, took care of him, yet this wasn't actually true. Other than giving him a place to live, Shirou B took care of himself. This was conceivable due to his persistent effort and tenacity. He cooked, cleaned, and beside home errands, Shirou B helped a significant number of his classmates with their work around school. An illustration of this is the point at which he volunteers to help Issei Ryudo, a companion of his, who was additionally leader of the student council at their school. He helps him with fixing the cooling systems. It's at this time that Shirou takes interest in Rin Tosaka. To top it off, Shirou would rehearse the basics of magecraft that Kiritsugu had shown him. He showed him barely enough to get by, however, insufficient enough to get himself slaughtered attempting to satisfy his dream, which, as we all know, sadly didn't have an effect, as Kiritsugu comprehended the agonizing existence of attempting to be a hero of justice, and simply because Kiritsugu understood how impossible it was to save everyone. He himself had previously failed. It's truly astounding how Shirou could do this happily, considering the fact he experienced PTSD because of the past occasions toward the start of the series, which, if the majority of you didn't get my clue, was brought about by Kiritsugu when he utilized the command seal to forcefully command Saber to annihilate the Grail when he understood it would twist his desire. From the start, Shirou resembles a quiet, gathered, and reasonable character. However, as the series goes on, I think it's safe to say that his activities become sketchy and the threats of his characteristics start to show him as an individual psychologically falling to pieces. An illustration of this is during a fight between Hercules and Gilgamesh, when Hercules falls and Gilgamesh murders a perishing and dismal Ilya. Shirou is goaded by this demonstration and tries to mediate, yet a wary Tosaka promptly intercedes as she perceived how powerless they were compared to Gilgamesh, a reality that Shirou decided to ignore. The best thing about Shirou is likewise the most noticeably terrible thing about him, his obstinate nature that couldn't permit him to see past the reality of his fantasy, which was his esteem for his dad. Maybe the greatest enemy this hero needed to confront was himself. He unmistakably perceives exactly how powerless he is, nevertheless, he actually charges in to protect any individual who needs saving, with no respect for his own life. As fans of the series, we cannot help yet respect this. Yet upon additional assessment of this character, we understand that this is something contrary to level-headed. Tosaka proceeds to make reference to that the manner in which he carried on with his life was, I quote, warped, which was in reality quite obvious. The reason I agree with this statement is that Shirou had no genuine motivation to save anyone. It wasn't on the grounds that he needed to. It was on the grounds that he essentially felt he needed to. It was his counterfeit ideal. Shirou gave the indications of an individual who had confined himself from the real world, taking on a fantasy not his own, allowing himself to get distorted by this ideal, and over the long haul, getting devoured by it. In my opinion, Shirou had no reason to live he could call his own, which made it easy for him to follow the fantasies of another, without thinking about the outcomes. Justice is an ambiguous idea that varies as indicated by culture and race. Shirou's longing of turning into a hero of justice was similarly as vague and unattainable, as this would just lead him down a path of contradiction. Now, the truth is, Shirou understood all this. He knew his own brain science. He realized that it was difficult to save everyone, except he had twisted his existence to that outrageous, that he could not see reason and feelings controlled and guided him, fixating on saving others in any event when they would require or not like to be saved. In however much he comprehended his own psyche, Shirou didn't completely comprehend everyone around him. Chasing his fantasy, he didn't understand exactly the amount he had disengaged himself from individuals around him, as Ayako Mitsuzuri calls attention to that he never smiles. He needed to save everybody, except who would save him. Which takes me to Shirou, who had advised him saying, an ideal is only an ideal after all. As long as you embrace that ideal, the friction with reality will continue to increase. So you will someday face reality and will have to pay the price for your compromises. The truth marble having a place with Shirou conveys a ton of symbolic meaning, yet the most noticeable are the gear wheels gliding in the sky, the remnants of the goals conveyed by Shirou, a sign that he had become a machine intended to clean up after humanity's mistakes, not caring if individuals being referred to are good or bad, since you see, when Shirou had become a guardian, The world was not worried about such frivolous convictions as long as mankind was kept alive. But that will be in the continuation of this video. I accept that even some time before he turns into a guardian, Shirou is a mindless machine to his ideal, or his counterfeit ideal. A borrowed dream of a man who couldn't really save anyone, as Shirouemiya puts it. The events of 10 years prior had really negatively affected Shirou, and he had developed survivor's guilt, a hero complex, and as referenced before, PTSD. Unfortunately, he passed on that day, metaphorically speaking anyways. I feel he lost something significant that day, and figured he could replace it with the fantasy of the one who saved him, carrying on with the remainder of his life in assistance of others and enduring selling out